Thank you for inviting me to testify at this very important hearing, and thank you for the concern this Commission has shown for people like my father who are being persecuted by the Chinese government in China and now increasingly abroad. As a university student, I never would have thought I'd find myself testifying in front of the US Congress, and certainly not under circumstances like these. However, on October 13th last year, I had my last Skype conversation with my father. Living in different places, we used to call each other on Skype regularly. I would tell him about how my studies were going, and he would tell me about work and how I was trying to get back into shape. Our last Skype call wasn't very different. He had been renovating his kitchen in Hong Kong and sent me pictures of what it looked like, saying he would show me in person when it was finished. We made plans to speak again in a few days, but then he stopped replying to my messages and emails, wouldn't pick up when I called, and about 3 weeks later, I received an email from his colleague Li Bo, saying my father had been missing for over 20 days and that he feared my father had been taken by Chinese agents for political reasons, relating to his publishing business and bookstore. I was later told that my father was last seen leaving his holiday apartment in Thailand with a man who had been loitering there, waiting for my father to return. I was also told that 3 of his colleagues at the bookstore had gone missing around the same time. We didn't know that Li Bo himself would be next. Since then, the Chinese have detained my father without trial or charges. In November and in January, he sent me 2 messages on Skype telling me to keep quiet. As his daughter, I could tell that he sent these under duress. I didn't hear or see anything of my father until a clearly staged and badly put together confession video of him was aired on Chinese state TV in January, 3 months after he was last seen. It failed to explain why they had held him without charge for 3 months and looked to me like they felt they needed to fabricate a justification in face of increasing media pressure. Mr. Chairman, it has now been 8 months since my father and his colleagues were taken into custody. I still haven't been told where he is, how he's being treated, or what his legal status is, which is especially shocking in light of the fact that my father holds Swedish and only Swedish citizenship. In the so-called confession, my father says he travelled to China voluntarily, but if this is true, then we might ask why there's no record of him having left Thailand. Only a state agency, acting coercively and against both international and China's own law, could achieve such a disappearance. By acting against my father and his colleagues, the Chinese are undermining their commitment to the one country, 2 systems principle. I want my testimony today to be a reminder to governments that despite the media having gone eerily quiet, my father, a Swedish citizen who was abducted by Chinese state agents from a 3rd sovereign country, is still in unofficial and illegal detention somewhere in China, without access to consular visits or legal representation. Despite having been told to stay quiet, I believe speaking up is the only option I have. Past cases clearly show that public criticism has had positive effects, and I'm convinced my father would have done this for me were I the one abducted and illegitimately detained without any indication of time frame. Therefore, I'm also here to ask for the committee's help and support in working with the Swedish and other governments to demand my father's immediate release. Alternatively, if he is suspected of an actual crime, we ought to be given official details of his detention and proof that his case is handled according to established legal procedure. I also want to ask the United States to take every opportunity to ask China for information on my father's status, as well as urge as he be freed immediately. Finally, the US, Sweden, and other countries concerned about these developments need to work to make sure that Chinese authorities are not allowed to carry out illegal operations on foreign soil. Thank you.